guys, it's your boy, Barca Boy 103. Today we're going to be reacting to the Barcelona news over the past few days. We do have a lot of topics to discuss. Firstly, the signing of Jonathan Tah is in the advanced stages and it is expected to be completed in the next month. He is expected, of course, to be the first signing for Barcelona in 2025. We do have some updates as well on the winter transfer market in regards to signings, since we are now back officially, of course, in the 1-1 rule. We, of course, had rumors about left-wing targets for the summer, with Nico and Díaz being some of the main targets that the club are following. And now with Barcelona being back in the 1-1 rule, we can expect some sales as well. Ansu Fati, Alejandro Balde, and Garcia have all been heavily rumored to be leaving Barcelona. Two of them, of course, Fati and Garcia, in January, with Balde most likely being in the summer. We'll discuss all the situations. And finally, of course, we do have a big update on the Dani Olmo Viktor situation registration, which of course will be going to court tomorrow, and a monumental decision for the future of not only the club, but also Laporta's tenure as well. But before we get into it, make sure you guys smash that like button down below. Let's try and get to 200 likes on this video. It would be very much appreciated. Also, if you are new, make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Now, before we get into this video is sponsored by Number One Foot. Number One Foot is by far the best replica jersey website on the market, and it's not even close. They have a variety of different items at the absolute best prices. They sent me two kits recently. First one is the retro Barcelona kit, the home kit, which I'm currently wearing right now, and also as well the second kit for that season in the blue edition. Oh my god, like the stitching is fantastic, the quality is, superb. Feels like I have the actual, original kit for a fraction of the price. And if you use the discount code BOY at checkout, you do get 10% off your order. That's BOY. Use it at checkout, and all orders above $80 as well will receive free shipping. So what are you waiting for? Hit the top link in the description down below and get your new football kits today. Let's start off with the transfer news over the past few days. Now, first, we do have some news in regards to the January activity. Of course, this month there is a transfer window active where Barcelona are not expected to do anything, but after officially returning to the 1-1 rule, things could change. Now, Mika Marmol of Relevo has come out saying that as the club has returned to the 1-1 rule, Barcelona is now ready to sign and sell players this month, and Joan Laporta will listen to whatever signings or departures Deco recommends this month. Of course, not being in the 1-1 rule, you would not profit a lot from player signings or player sales, but with us now officially returning to the 1-1 rule, finally, it does of course give Barcelona some freedom. Now, Mundo Deportivo is reporting that Deco wants to sign 4 or 5 players in the summer, of course not this month, and he is targeting a right back, left back, physical midfielder gimmick again, left wing, and potentially a striker. Of course, the top 3 should be right back, left back, and left winger. Physical midfielder is just Barcelona hype. They are always obsessed with this physical midfielder PR. Then we signed one, then they end up selling him a year or two later. But most importantly, now in the winter there could be some movements happening, and with Barcelona being back in the 1-1 rule, we can really take advantage of player sales or player signings. I can maybe see one departure at the absolute most. Again, I don't think we will sign anyone unless there is a massive market opportunity or someone gets injured. Of course, we can sign maybe a free agent, like for example, Jonathan Tah, but it won't be, of course, official until the summer. But I don't see anyone coming in January unless we have a massive injury crisis. But again, with us being in the 1-1 rule, things could change if something miraculously comes on Barcelona's table. Now, the closest signing that Barcelona are set to complete is, of course, one that hit a few seconds ago, and that is Jonathan Tah. Now, Relevo came out saying from Etienne Marito, of course, Jonathan Tah is very close to signing with Barcelona. In the coming days, the club will try to finalize an agreement that seems just a few steps away. Bayern Munich now are very pessimistic and believe they've already lost the player. I can see this deal hopefully getting, the finalization around February time. I think right now the club are focusing, of course, on registration, maybe some renewals, but again, getting this deal done over the line very early is one of the priorities for Barcelona because they feel like he's a fantastic, of course, market opportunity. Of course, with him coming in as well, there will be a lot of departures in the center back department. But again, Tah looks set to join Barcelona, a free agent deal. Another great way for Barcelona to exploit the free agent market. We've done so a lot over the past few years, and Tah is another great example of that. Another signing as well that Hansi Flick does want as well. So over the next month, I would expect the Tah deal will be finalized. Maybe not, of course, signed fully, but agreement in place. So expect that hopefully in the next few weeks, as he will be most likely Barcelona's first signing of 2025. Now, as previously mentioned, one of the main priorities for Barcelona in the summer will be, of course, targeting a left winger. There are, of course, a few options on the table, one of them mainly being Nico Williams. Mateo Brito did come out saying that Barcelona still want to sign Nico Williams this summer, again, due to his nationality, age, league experience as well, and also the price for him being in a release clause. It is, of course, no negotiation needed. You go and activate the release clause and that's it. Of course, we'll have to wait and see how FFP does look in terms of salary space for Nico Williams. He does earn a lot of money, of course, at Athletic Club, and he probably wants the same money, if not a bit more, at Barcelona. There are other options as well. One option that Deco, the sporting director, is really obsessed with is Luis Díaz. Now, Sport came out saying that Barcelona are keeping an eye on Luis' situation as the player is unhappy at Liverpool and aren't improving his contract. His agency has a good relationship with Barcelona, and Deco likes the player a lot. Of course, right now, Liverpool have other priorities. Trent, Virgil van Dijk, and Mo Salah all having their contract expiring this summer. Probably focus on Luis Díaz going into next season, where we need a left winger this summer. I think Luis Díaz is a good player, but I think that there are other options that are better than him. If he's, third or fourth option, the other ones don't come to fruition, then I can concede, but him being number one priority for me does not sit too well. Don't think he's that great to go splash 60-70 million on him. Still very good, but I think there are better options out there. For example, I'd much rather have Nico Williams over Luis Díaz. Now, one name that has been, of course, spurring about but hasn't been, too strong of links is Marcus Rashford. Mateo did come out saying that Rashford to Barcelona is ruled out. Of course, we already knew that. There was absolutely no chance of that happening, but there have been, of course, a lot of talk in the UK press, probably coming from Rashford's side, making some noise about Barcelona and PSG. So again, with Barcelona, it's not going to happen. The real left winger option is probably going to be Nico Williams and Rafael Leao. It really comes down to what player wants to move the most, and also what the clubs for each two players will be demanding as well. But we'll wait and see. It is, of course, going to be a big target for Barcelona in the summer, but the target is yet to be fully identified. Now, in the event that Barcelona do go for a striker, they are targeting Viktor Gyökeres. According to AS, they said that Barcelona want to sign Viktor Gyökeres in the summer, and Lewandowski may have to leave if he is signed. I think, honestly, Gyökeres does not move me whatsoever. Yes, I understand he's scoring a lot of goals, but in the Liga NOS, it's not really too impressive. I think he needs to make a move somewhere else to upgrade from Sporting before coming to Barcelona. I think coming from Sporting to Barcelona directly is a massive risk, especially for the price that Sporting are quoting for him, around 60 to 80 million euros. I think there's other better options out there. I'd rather have Jonathan David on a free, but of course the club disagree. But with the number 9, you gotta really splash the cash. I think Barcelona still would rather have Erling Haaland over Gyökeres. I think Gyökeres is kind of like, the hipster move, but hipster move to Barcelona is always a massive risk. But we'll wait and see. That's still undecided. Yeah, we still have other options ahead of a striker, but when you have a market opportunity like Gyökeres, for example, if the club really do fancy him, they might bite the bullet and take the gamble. But I see the club still waiting a little bit longer on a striker. I think they will trust Lewandowski going into next season. Let's now discuss the players that have been rumored to leave Barcelona over the past few days. Now, with the window opening, a lot of the squad players are not getting too many minutes, are being rumored to leave. One of them is Eric Garcia. Now, Gabriel Sanz and Mundo Deportivo did come out saying that Eric Garcia remains a target for Girona, and Girona would prefer a loan deal rather than a permanent transfer, which makes things even more complicated as Barcelona do need cash income. And this was, of course, really early on in the January transfer window, and of course, a few days later, the day of the press conference for Hansi Flick before the match against Barbastro, we got the big news from sources in Girona saying that Girona are set to advance and complete the signing of Eric Garcia once Barcelona solves the Olmo and Victor case, a crucial prerequisite for the deal. He's a priority for Michel, and the transfer is valued at around 10 million euros, including variables. So according to Girona media, they're saying that Barcelona have pretty much agreed a 10 million euro package for Eric Garcia for the transfer to happen this month, pending, of course, registration of Olmo and Victor and us returning to the 1-1 rule. Of course, us returning to the 1-1 rule has happened, but we're still waiting, of course, for the registration. Freddie Martinez Sport, they come out saying there's no negotiations right now between Barcelona and Girona, but honestly, the source from Girona is too good. When we talked about sources last time with Girona, when it comes to, of course, Romeu and Eric Garcia last summer as well, they've always been absolutely nail on the head. In regards to the price, I don't mind it. I think the issue for me is that you can get 10 million for him now or in the summer. I don't think his price will change that drastically. I think right now in January, you probably want a bit more, 12 to 15, especially with it being a package, not being a fixed rate. Would I do it now? Honestly, for me, the answer is no, simply on the fact that the squad depth will be called upon at some point. I think for 15 million, I would bite the bullet and take the gamble for sure. But for 10 million, it's a good offer, but not quite enough for me to sacrifice Eric Garcia for 6 months, but we probably will call upon him, especially after he did, of course, all right against 4th League Barcelona. And following that Barcelona match, Tony Juan Martí has come out saying that Hansi Flick does not want to lose any more players in the current situation. Of course, still no registration for Olmo and Victor. Hence, he does prefer Eric Garcia to stay. And if he does leave the club would need to sign someone to replace him. So Flick will only authorize the sale of Eric Garcia if the club brings someone in. That might alter things. Again, if we sell Eric for 10 million, I won't lose sleep over it. I won't be upset. I would prefer to keep him. I think if Girona maybe up the price a little bit, I will take the gamble. But I'm not saying that Eric Garcia is filled with quality, of course, but I think he will be a reliable player in the situation where we do call upon him. I think, and also the main thing for me is, again, you can get 10 million for him now or in the summer. I honestly don't think it will change that much unless he gets a heroic injury or something catastrophic happens on the pitch with his performances. So we'll wait and see what the club do decide. I think they won't probably decide until maybe the 3rd week or 4th week of January. I think they'll probably figure out the Paulo Victor, Dani Olmo case, probably wait a week or two later. I can see this happening near the end of the window if it does come to fruition, but Girona are pushing Eric Garcia wants minutes. Hansi Flick does not want to let him go, so it's a bit of a 50-50, I think, in my books. I think this is probably the most likely departure for Barcelona this winter if anything does materialize. So keep your eyes on the exit of Eric Garcia, as it is definitely heating up, but no decision made yet. Now, another player that also could end up leaving this winter transfer window is Ansu Fati. Now, Mikel Rico came out saying that Girona have not only made an offer for Eric Garcia, but they also have made an offer for Ansu Fati as well. So interesting case there. With Ansu, I think it's difficult situation. Of course, we know the talent of Ansu, but he just ain't getting minutes and he can't stay fit to save his life as well. Curious to know what price Barcelona would sell him at. For me personally, I probably value Ansu at around 20 to 30 million euros. The reason why it's so low is that the wages are so high. So getting rid of his, 175k a week wages for Barcelona would be absolutely massive, and him being injured the whole time and earning that kind of money is crazy. Now, his agent, Mr. Jorge Mendes, has been speaking to the media about the situation of Ansu Fati, and he came out saying that 2 years ago, Ansu Fati was at the top of the world. He's had some bad luck with injuries, but I'm certain he'll overcome all those advertisements because he's an incredible player. He will return to his level and continue winning the hearts of the Barca fans. What Ansu Fati needs is confidence and to resolve his physical issue. Once he's at 100%, Barcelona will need him. He's a unique player who will make a difference once he's fully fit. Regarding a possible loan deal, it's a question for Barcelona. They know their plans and what the coach thinks. In football, everything can change in 5 minutes. Ansu has shown that he has the quality and an impressive level to play for Barcelona. Of course, he's not wrong there whatsoever. The issue is that this end Ansu Fati from, COVID and pre-COVID. When I saw Ansu come through, I honestly thought we wouldn't sign a left winger for 10 to 15 years, and we're out here, number one target this upcoming summer is a left winger. I think Ansu is toasted. Of course, I sold my stocks in Ansu in July, and I'm not gonna be a hypocrite and go back for that, but he needs an absolute miracle to have a future at Barcelona. If he does, of course, survive this window and has the second half of the season at Barcelona, not only does he need to stay fully fit, he also needs to perform when called upon. Did all right against Barcelona, had a few chances, but just doesn't look the same, man. It's hard to describe, but if you watch, Ansu before his injury and after, he's just two completely different players, especially after that second injury. After the first injury, he looked all right, not too bad. That second one, though, cooked him, and ever since then, never stays. He's already been injured twice this season for about a month and a half each, so it's kind of hard to see him have a future at Barcelona. I think really right now the question is when he will leave, not if he'll leave. But of course, like Jorge Mendes says, we'll have to wait and see. Anything can change in a situation. Now, a player who could be on course for a shock exit at Barcelona is the starting left back at the club, Alejandro Balde. Now, Mateo Merito from Olivo has come out saying that PSG are following Alejandro Balde in case Nuno Mendes leaves the Parisian club. However, at the moment, there has been no negotiation or contact, only a hypothetical idea. Basically saying that PSG rate Balde, and if they do let go Nuno Mendes to Manchester United, or maybe he does not renew his contract, they will look at Balde as one of the options, which again makes sense. Now, this is a big question. Do we sell Balde or not if PSG come in? Honestly, for me, if the price is right, I might do it. If they offer 70, 80 million, and then of course I'm thinking sell Balde for 70, 80 million, get Davies for free, I wouldn't say no. That's how I feel on the situation now. Speaking of Jorge Mendes and his clients, he has also spoken about Alejandro Balde in the media, saying that like with Lamine Yamal, I see Balde staying at Barcelona for many more years. He's a Barca player through and through. I have no doubt about it. Alejandro Balde will become the best player in his position. Before renewing with Barcelona, the biggest clubs in Europe wanted Alejandro Balde. Barcelona made the right decision not to sell him, despite receiving significant offers. Barcelona rejected offers from big teams for Alejandro Balde, and he renewed. There is no doubt to me that he will be the best left back in the world one day. Of course, that one day hasn't come quite yet. I think with Balde, the issue for me is not only inconsistency, but also there's been no level up in his game. He's been the exact same player that he was in 2022 than he was now. I would even argue that he's gone a bit downhill. 2 years of experience, and he still, I think, hasn't looked as good as he did in that double season. I think this season is a big season for Balde, especially the second half of the season where he has to, I think, perform. He's had some good moments this season, some poor. I mean, he's pretty much 50-50, but I wouldn't say he's an untouchable. I think, again, I wouldn't sell Balde for nothing, but if PSG make a good offer, again, I'm thinking 65 plus-ish, I would be tempted, especially with Davies being a free agent. So we'll wait and see. Again, nothing there right now. No, it's just really general interest, no inquiries, no negotiations, no, let's just call it, talks as of now. But this could be an option in the future, so keep our eyes on it, and we'll wait and see how Balde does perform this season, because it'll definitely dictate his future at Barcelona. Now, another player that also could be on the exit block for Barcelona is Andreas Christensen. A lot of reports about him being one of the main options for Barcelona to sell this summer, especially now us being the one rule. Him coming in as a free agent is pure net profit for his sale. Now, he was asked about this in the media, about any information about him leaving Barcelona, and he said, "You just have to smile. The club for now have told me to recover well and that they're waiting for me." So again, performances a lot will dictate the future of Andreas Christensen. We are hearing right now, according to Hansi Flick, that Kourouma is an untouchable center back for Barcelona. He is the #1 center back at the club. Everyone else, it's a dogfight. Christensen, Araujo, Inigo. It's going to be a battle between them. I think the only way Christensen survives now, especially with Tah coming in, is if Christian does unbelievably well in the pivot. Maybe Casado gets injured, suspended, whatever the case may be. Maybe needs some rest, and then Christian comes in and does really well. I really rate Christensen. I think he's a great squad option, and I understand why the club do want to sell him. I mean, selling Inigo, you're not going to get anything for him. Of course, Christian's on some decent wages, but again, that transfer profit coming in is huge. 30 to 40 million for him would be massive. Of course, if we sell him on the cheap, like Garcia for 12, I will be absolutely fuming. But if it's for a good price, 30 plus, I would say, difficult to say no. I rate the player. Again, we'll wait and see how he comes back from his injury. I think if he comes back from this injury and gets injured again for longer than a month, I think he's toasted. I think he's absolutely cooked. He has to come back, play well, and stay fit to have any fighting chance to survive at Barcelona. So we'll wait and see how things turn out with his future. But again, he is definitely one of those players on the chopping block. Now, one of the brightest talents coming through right now in La Masia is Baba Kourouma, who of course is, I believe, the cousin of Elias Mariba. He has been performing at a very high level for the Juvenile A teams and has also been knocking on the door for Barca Athletic. Alongside him and Samu Nomoko, those are the two young players right now that are absolutely tearing up the light in the teams underneath Barca Athletic. And we heard some worrying news, in my opinion, that Manchester City are knocking on the door of Baba Kourouma. Mateo Morito from Livo came out saying that Man City are very interested in Barcelona's 15-year-old youngster Baba Kourouma, who will be able to sign a professional contract when he turns 16 next month. The English club would loan him out to another club in the City group, Girona, Troyes, wherever the case may be, but Baba's priority right now is Barcelona, but the agreement must be closed in the next few weeks. So we need to get him on a renewal before February, where his birthday hits, or else Man City could come in and definitely persuade him. We've seen Messi do this a few times now, of course, with Eric Garcia. We saw him do this with Brahim Díaz as well in the past. They like to go out for these Spanish young talents and get them out when they're 16, bring them to City, loan them out to develop them, and of course to come back to City and perform well. But I don't think Barcelona will let this slip through, although again, he is a massive talent. So we'll wait and see what happens over the next few weeks. This exit would be very, very big in the Barcelona, hierarchy in terms of, big talents coming through in the academy. So we do time down to his first professional contract. But with City coming in, it could potentially complicate his renewal, but hopefully that's not the case. Now, a player's future that is linked with Barcelona is the future of Mika Marmol, who I've now been discussing on the channel now for about 2 or 3 years since Xavi sold him in his first summer. We of course have a sell-on clause for him. He has a release clause at Las Palmas, and apparently a lot of clubs have been interested over the past few years. No one's come in, but now we're hearing, according to Mateo Morito, that Roma are very interested in Las Palmas defender Mika Marmol. At this moment, they are not willing to pay his release clause of 10 million euros, and of course Barcelona owes 50% of the player's rights. Whatever sale that Las Palmas do make for Mika Marmol, Barcelona do receive half. If it's 10 million release clause, we get 5. If it's 4, we get 2. If it's 6, we get 3. So whatever the case may be. So again, another reminder, keep your eyes on his future, because of course end up making that move, we are entitled to get half of the transfer fee that Las Palmas do sell him for. Let's now discuss some contract renewal updates around the first team at Barcelona. The one update that we do have is, of course, on the future of Frenkie de Jong. Now, the ARS have come out saying that after starting offers from other clubs, Frenkie de Jong's agent is ready to talk with Barcelona, and Barcelona will offer him a contract with a very large reduction in his salary. Again, kind of the same news there, but mainly, of course, that first part where they're willing to negotiate. Now, Frenkie de Jong did speak to the Dutch media in the interview. He did, of course, touch upon his future at Barcelona, talked about his ankle injury and all that mumbo jumbo, but I want to really touch upon what he said about his future at Barcelona. He's then asked, firstly, on his reflection on his achievements at Barcelona, and he said, when I joined Barcelona, I thought we achieved much more. Winning just 1 La Liga, 1 Copa del Rey, and 1 Super Cup in 4 years wasn't what I envisioned. It's frustrating, but football sometimes doesn't always go as planned. When I read this, I got really salty because it reminded me how shite we have been over the past few years, and to be honest, he's not wrong there whatsoever. He didn't discuss, of course, his future at Barcelona, saying that many assume I'll stay at Barcelona forever because life off the pitch here is great, and it truly is, but that's secondary to what happens on the field. If I ever felt I was going to make an impact or the team couldn't compete, I wouldn't stay. So he's saying that life outside of Barcelona on the pitch is not really the be-all and end-all for him. You know, his son was born in Barcelona. Of course, he talks a lot about the life in Barcelona, but he mainly, of course, focusing on the pitch, which again is fair. And then finally on his contractual situation, saying that the media here talks a lot about my renewal, but for me, it's not a big issue. My focus is on playing football. When the time comes, I'll see what the club wants, and then I'll decide with my agent and family. So he's not too rushing into it, but again, that second part, he's there talking about, again, playing football. If he feels needed, if he feels important, he'll have no problem staying, but if he does not feel important, he may end up walking. And I think this would be a good sign of him. I think now it's definitely swaying more so to him not renewing / leaving this summer than staying, because again, in that midfield, he's not a starter. Unless something crazy happens or he has an absolute crazy run the second half of the season, he's going to be not even a squad player, but he'll be, you know, an important player. So there's, of course, starting players, important, squad. He's definitely important. First team off the bench and probably touching the starting lineup half the time, I would say, especially with, you know, you can't be playing the same team every other day. But again, that's probably not what he wants as a player, which of course makes sense. So we'll wait and see what happens. But I think definitely now the renewal of Frenkie de Jong is definitely uncertain and in doubt. Let's now discuss some of the news surrounding Barcelona over the past few days. First was, of course, in regards to Espai Barca, our return to, of course, the Spotify Camp Nou. Mundo Deportivo is reporting that if there are no further setbacks, Barcelona are expected to return to the Spotify Camp Nou before the end of this season. The club has already started selling season passes for matches at the new stadium for the final stretch of the campaign. Again, it really just comes down to when. I think we will definitely return this season. I was really aiming for middle to end of February. Now I can see it being March. I can even see it being after the March international break. I think that's what Barcelona are really going to be targeting now. But again, the issue is once you play that first game in the Champions League knockout round in a home game, you can no longer change. Of course, Barcelona want those Champions League knockout games at the Spotify Camp Nou. We could, of course, end the season with 3 stadiums. Montjuic being potentially the Champions League games, Camp Nou potentially being as well just La Liga games. Could be another stadium since Montjuic is not going to be available for about 2 or 3 weeks in March, so you just never know really. But I'm still fairly confident we will play at some point this season. The question is really in my head, how many seasons we have to be playing by the end of next season, because it could genuinely be 3, but we'll have to wait and see how things do develop in regards to the building. The videos I've seen, it looks pretty good. I think once they get the grass in on the pitch, that's when you can really tell on the return. But again, the club are selling season passes for the second half of the season in the stadium, so wait and see how things do develop. Now, someone that we have been waiting for a long time for him to return to Barcelona is, of course, Thiago Alcantara to the coaching staff of Hansi Flick. We're now hearing there's a bit of a hold on it. Fernando Martinez Mundo Deportivo came out saying that Thiago is already in Barcelona and is poised to return as the assistant coach. He's now waiting for Barcelona's call, who will have to offer him a professional contract, which will affect FFP. The return to the 1-1 rule will help, and of course, Flick does want him. Since he wasn't on a professional contract in the summer, it didn't really affect it. Of course, in the summer, he's kind of more so like an internship, learning kind of vibe. It wasn't really a professional deal. That's why he only stayed for a month and then left. But now with him being on an actual coaching staff, he will need an actual contract, which of course will affect FFP. We have now returned to the 1-1 rule, so don't think there'll be too much delay in this. I think Thiago will probably return end of January, beginning of February time. The club right now had to figure out, of course, Olmo and Victor. Maybe they want to sell Garcia or not, get some renewals done, Jonathan Tah, and then maybe maybe they'll look at Thiago, but I think if Flick starts knocking the door a bit more, they will of course let in Thiago. Again, his contract won't be that serious that it will massively affect the salary spaces, but again, one to keep an eye out for sure. I think 100% Thiago Alcantara will return to the coaching bench this season. The question really is when. Now, the final topic that I want to discuss for the end of this video is, of course, in regards to the Olmo and Victor situation. Now, right now, we're at a point where La Liga and the RFEF Spanish Federation have now officially rejected the re-registration of the two players, which now means that Barcelona will have to go to court. The reports are suggesting that Barcelona will appeal to the Superior Sports Council to register Dani Olmo and Victor. The club will request a precautionary measure on Tuesday, i.e. tomorrow. The players already know that Barcelona request has been rejected and are disappointed since that they were told by the club it was not being fulfilled. Now, Tony Marti came out saying that Barcelona are optimistic about obtaining the precautionary measure for next week. If this happens, Olmo and Victor could participate in the Super Cup. On Saturday morning before the Barbastro game, Laporta did meet with Dani Olmo and Victor to explain the situation to them. He assured them that the club is still fully believing in their registration. So again, now it's up to the courts. We'll wait and see how things do turn out. I'm seeing a lot of people calling for Laporta's head. A lot of the opposing campaigns against Laporta have signed a joint agreement saying they want him to step down immediately. Of course, that's not going to be the case. I think the only way Laporta does resign, if he does get forced out, is if this registration does not happen this week. If Dani Olmo and Victor are not playing against Athletic Club this Wednesday, it is a fat L. Again, I'm a big Laporta defender, as you all probably know. I don't think this is, all, of course, entirely his fault, but not having them registered by Wednesday is catastrophic. I can let Barbastro slide, cup game, round 32. Dani Olmo wasn't going to play. Victor probably would have played, but again, it is what it is. It's a cup game, not too serious in my books, but this Wednesday, Super Cup, definitely serious. But what is clear is that both players will be traveling to Saudi no matter what. Having Government AS came out saying that the idea is that Dani Olmo and Victor will be part of the team traveling to the Super Cup today. That doesn't mean they will play, of course, but Flick wants them active and in the group dynamics. There are also reports that Marc Bernal will travel with the squad as well. He's going to be, of course, doing his recovery in Saudi, but also wants to be part of the squad team dynamics for potential celebrations, potential downfalls, so experience everything, I guess. Ter Stegen said he'd rather stay in Barcelona and recover there, so that's his decision. It's whatever. So they can, of course, travel with Barcelona. They can still train with Barcelona and all that, but whether they play or not will be the big question. But again, it all comes down to tomorrow in court on Tuesday, and we'll wait and see how things do turn out. Hopefully, if they're going to go to the club, the court does back us. But again, anything can happen. It could be a huge success for Barcelona or a monumental failure. So that's my reaction to the Barcelona news over the past few days. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, of course, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course in the comments down below as well. Let me know your thoughts on everything we did discuss. The main thing, firstly, of course, thoughts on the signing of Jonathan Tah probably in the next few weeks or so. Secondly, on the left winger, who would be your main target? Thirdly, on those potential sales between Balde, Garcia, and Ansu Fati, which one would you let go of now, maybe in January? And finally, your thoughts on the Olmo Victor registration. Do you believe they will be registered this week or not? And of course, make sure you guys subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time on the channel. Take care, and Forza Barca. Yeah.